Hi, it's Robert Young. This is video 2 of 3 on the theme being yields, recession, and recession indicators. So this is just going to be a very quick class on a recession, why we attempt to determine if we're going into recession, and why you might want to consider keeping an eye on things, or at least paying attention to what I consider just based on the data that we put out and we review. And how we react accordingly. That being said, because of the number of people that this goes out to, our participants of the corporate 401ks and pensions that we manage, because of people we've met that are interested in receiving information that hopefully might become part of the family one day, and of course you, our dear family member, we have to just tell you, this is not investment advice. This is not a trading program. This is simply general information based on historical fact that and gives you an indication of why it's just a class on recessions. So that being said, so what is a recession? You know what? If you feel like you need to get further, again, this is a very general term here. If you want to find out deeper information and the actual definition, go to Investopedia, Google it, do whatever. I don't care about the 2 quarters of declining or negative returns. Here it is. It is the constriction of the economy in a city, a town, a state, a region, the United States, the world. Right? Just simply the slowdown of the economy. And what happens during a slowdown of the economy? Well, okay, people stop spending money, right? Maybe people get their wages cut a little bit, or maybe they get their hours cut. They stop buying a few things. And so what happens to those companies that are selling products or services? Well, they don't make as much revenue, and so the value of that business falls. And if they have a stock on the stock market, that's reflected in the stock price. So what do those companies do? Well, they don't sell as much stuff, so they stop buying as much raw material to put out there, and consequently, they don't. They start circling the wagon. They start, trimming some of the fat maybe, and then they start building cash up, right? So that being said, why do we watch over this? Why do we try to determine if our economy is going into a recession? And the next video, of course, are the indicators that my team and I follow to try to determine if this economy is going to recession. And frankly, it's just because of this little chart right here. And this little chart, just common sense. All right? So let's say you are in an economy and you're dropping down into this area. Let's start down here. Let's start in a recession. Well, there are really 2 reasons why we want to determine if the economy is going into recession. Number one is there's a reflection on the stock market. And the reality is, from a couple of indicators, historically, if those indicators have triggered, then we'll see upwards of an 18% gain in the stock market. Now, you learned from the first video, what is the stock market in my terms? My terminology, it's the S&P 500. So the S&P 500 gains, on average, 18% after this first recession indicator has occurred. And some can argue it already has. I'll get into the third video. So you have that 18% gain. Now, you've got sort of this last hurrah, this last bit of growth. Then it starts to curve down. Now, how far does that curve go? Well, it goes anywhere from 20 to 40% historically. So if you have $100,000 and you write it down, you will have $80,000 to $60,000 by the time we get to the bottom into this recession. And then you've got to sort of wait around for 18 or 24 months, that length of time for a recession, before we have a recovery of the economy and consequently a recovery of the stock market. So what we're trying to do is preserve some of the wealth, not miss out on the opportunity of that last little climb up of the market. And then we want to preserve our wealth so that we can take advantage of some places to be invested in down here. So let's talk about that very quickly. So the first reason why I want to, just to recap, first reason why we want to follow to see if we're going to recession is we just want to make sure that we get that final last bit of push of the stock market, S&P 500, any related sectors, and we want to make sure that we don't get caught up in that downturn, that spiral of 20 to 40%, and we want to make sure that we preserve that wealth. Then what we want to do is the second part, and that is we want to find the opportunities to invest during recessions and recoveries and prosperity on that are the best places to be. Common sense. You're in a recession. Hours have been cut a little bit. Maybe business is a little slow. So what do? You sit around the house a little bit more, right? So you're paying your health care. You're watching America's Got Talent. You're talking on the phone to your friends. And you're going to Costco to pick up all the stuff you need to run your household. So what are you doing? You've got health care. You've got utility companies. You've got telecommunication. And then, frankly, you've got consumer staples, right? All the goods and you need to run your house. All the Tide, all the Swanson dinners, all that kind of good trash. That's what you invest in down here. Then when you come up here, what are you in? In Florida, you really see it in the form of construction. So trucks hit the road more, raw materials, right? So it's energy, it's building materials, it's financials. Banks are lending money. So there's recovery. And then up here, as everybody's just rocking and rolling and they're just whipping out the credit cards, well, now what you're dealing with up here are consumer discretionary. Those 48-inch TVs that you were watching down here, no good any longer. Let's get the 72-inch up here. I don't know, I'm just making up numbers here. Let's rehab the house. Let's maybe get a new car. That's where the spending occurs, and that's what continues to drive the market. Now, I'm going to do a video, a conspiracy theory I have on buybacks and how they've driven the market, but that's another day. But that's it. That's why a quick class on recession, what it is, why we try to determine if we're going into a recession. You know, do we take advantage of the last run up? Do we preserve wealth? And then where do we invest during a recession? And we also want to make sure that we make you money and not lose your money. All right, that being said, if you have any questions, please reach out anytime. Next video is going to be on the indicators that we follow. There seems to be some talk that there's one primary one, but it's just never that simple, is it? If you have any questions or concerns, please reach out anytime. Thank you very much, and I hope you found this helpful and informative.